video is already off to a great start. Prior to me pressing record, my camera fell to the freaking ground. Hey, what's up guys? It's Michelle Diaz and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've seen y'all, like 3 months, and last video I was like, you know what, during quarantine I'm really gonna focus on YouTube. I ended up not doing that. I've been working a lot, which isn't an excuse because I definitely should prioritize this. Actually, I'm just gonna stop saying that because my next video is probably gonna be in like another 3 months, so I'm just gonna stop saying that. A lot has happened during quarantine. I'm kind of blonde right now, which is cool, I guess. The thing is, I walked into my hair appointment with a picture of Addison Rae's brown hair in my hand, and I was like, I just kind of want to go honey brown. 8 hours later, in a lot of tinfoil, I'm blonde. Anyway, today's video is about sorority recruitment, which is an interesting little topic, but I just wanted to make this video because if you didn't know, I go to the University of Alabama at Birmingham, not the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Here's the thing. Prior to going through sorority rush or rush week or sorority recruitment, whatever you want to call it, I watched a bunch of videos, mainly because I'm a first generation college student. My parents didn't really know what Greek life was. I didn't really know what Greek life was, so I had to really educate myself on what it was. And I watched all of these videos of people going to like SEC schools and all that stuff. UAB was just like a completely different scenario than what I was expecting to walk into. So yeah, sorority recruitment in the South is kind of intense, but it's completely different when you go to like an SEC school like Alabama or Auburn, and then you go to UAB and you're expecting an SEC experience, but you get a small school experience. It's kind of weird. I'm gonna touch into that. Also, I just want to preface by saying that this is just my experience. In no way, shape, or form should you go into it and be like, oh, well, Michelle said she felt like this about a house and I don't, and this vibed and this didn't. Take this with a grain of salt because everybody's different. Everybody has their own little vibes going on. Also, I get that I am putting this out right before sorority recruitment for fall 2020 starts. Obviously, COVID is a thing. Take in mind that this is my experience going through like normal recruitment, but obviously in the fall, we're gonna have virtual recruitment. I'm lightly gonna touch on that. So yeah. So maybe this video isn't even gonna be helpful for you if you're coming in fall 2020, but I just wanted to, you know, talk about my experience and like what I've learned and what I wish I knew and all that stuff. Okay, anyway, let's get into it because I'm babbling. I'm actually the worst at explaining stuff, so I don't even know why I'm trying to explain what rush week is because I couldn't even explain it to myself. But let me try. Basically, it's if you're looking to join a sorority, it's the recruitment process. The first day was convocation, which is you go in and you meet your pi chis, which are people that disaffiliate from their sorority, and they're basically there to just walk you through your decisions and like if you're stuck between houses and stuff, and they're just there to really help you. But yeah, you meet your pi chis during convocation. I think they're changing it now, like the name of it. But when I went through, it was called convocation. So yeah, I met my pi chis in like my pi chi group, which was like me and like 10 other girls-ish, something like that. We kind of get the rundown of how everything's gonna go. I literally wore Nike shorts and a UAB t-shirt. Like, you will not be seeing sororities the first day, so don't even sweat it. I literally wore like tennis shoes. Like, you're not going to be meeting anybody that you like need to dress up for. I mean, like, if you want to, go ahead, but like there's literally no point. You just sit in the auditorium, they give you like a rundown of what's going to go on, and then you get your pi chi groups, and this happens and that happens, and it's great. It's pretty casual, so I'm just gonna wear a UAB shirt with Nike shorts, my New Balances. Let's get it.
I just want to sincerely apologize for 1, looking like that, 2, sounding like that, and 3, yelling when I sounded like that, but besides the point. Anyway, back to scheduled programming.
The second day of recruitment is the first official day of rush week, and that's when you'll be meeting all of the sororities. The first day was sisterhood round, the second day was philanthropy round, and the third day was pref night or pref day, and then the fourth day is vid day. This is probably the biggest difference between us and an SEC school, or like just like a bigger school in general. So UAB only has 6 chapters, and none of those chapters have a house. So all of the parties are either in a ballroom at the Hill Center, which is our student center, or at the Alumni House, which is like another ballroom area. So with that being said, since there are only 6 chapters, the first day you are meeting every chapter. So I got this romper from Kohl's. It's like Lily May or something like that. Lily Rose, something like that. I don't really pay attention to brands. Anyway, my shoes are from a boutique in Georgia. They're called Leap of Faith. They're cute and comfortable. Anyway, my jewelry, I got this necklace from this place in the mall called Francesca's. I don't know if they have it anywhere else, but
Update, they have multiple locations all over the United States, so definitely not just an Alabama thing.
It rocks. Anyway, my earrings are from like this pop-up boutique that was at the Barons game one time that I went. All of my jewelry is from my mom's closet except for the very top bracelet thing, the little 3 bracelets up top. My grandma made that for me. She brought it from Mexico, super cute or whatever. I have my Apple Watch on this hand. I will say they told me that if I was gonna bring a smartwatch, I should silence it so it's not like going off in the middle of conversations. I wasn't gonna wear it originally, but I suck at accessorizing, so I didn't know what else to put on this hand, and I don't want to show off my watched hand. So we're rolling with it for today, but I'll keep it like super quiet. So the first day, my schedule was actually, I had a break first, and then another break, and then I went Alpha Gam, AOPI, Alpha Z, Delta Gamma, KD, and Sigma Kappa. So yeah, I kind of got the weird schedule where both of my breaks were back to back at the very beginning of the day. So it just kind of gave me more time to really get in my head and get really nervous. And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Like, what do I even say? Do I like shake their hand? Do I hug them? What's up? It kind of sucked just because I had a lot more time to get in my head, and then I went 6 parties back to back. So yeah, and then at the end of the day, you go into this like computer lab thing and you put your top 4 houses, like the houses that you really felt good about. There were 4 that I really liked. The other 2, I liked them, but I didn't really vibe with them. So my decision was kind of easier on the first night, just because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I put my 4, and then I put the 2 that I didn't really vibe with. Like I prefaced, this is just my experience. I had other girls in my Pi Chi group that like loved those. Like they were in love with those sororities like first day off. They were just not my vibe, if that makes sense. So yeah, so you put your top 4 and then you rank your bottom 2. The reason why you rank it is because say out of my top 4, one of them would have dropped me or just not invited me back. My first one that I ranked goes up. And then if another one drops me, my second one goes up. So the next day you have the possibility of going back to up to 4 sororities. The first day is probably the most tiring just because you're going to all 6 sororities. It's the longest day. You're talking for a good bit amount of time, and you're probably answering the same exact questions in every single party. The most frequent ones I got were, why did you come to UAB? And why did you decide to rush? Guaranteed you will probably get asked those, so I would already have like an answer prepared in your mind before you go into these parties. Be honest with your answers, but also have answers prepared, because you don't want to just stand there looking at the sister and being like, oh, you know, it's not how a conversation flows. The next day was philanthropy round, and you could go back to up to 4 houses. I want to preface by saying it is completely fine if you do not go back to 4 houses. Trust the process. I know people say that all of the time, and like when I was going into it, everybody was like, trust the process, and I was like, shut up. But it's true. So I was one of the last girls to get their schedule back just because they have to hand them out to like everybody, stuff like that. And I was already scared because everybody around me was like, oh my god, blah 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 dropped me and blah 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 dropped me. I was one of the few girls that got invited back to her top 4 houses, and I'm not saying that to brag. I just really want you to get in your head that it is okay to get dropped. Majority of my friends got invited back to at least one of the houses they dropped like the night before. Like I said, if you get dropped by one of your top 4, your 5th one moves up. So a lot of girls had to go back to their 5th or maybe even their 6th. I had some friends that only had 3 sororities on their schedule. Trust the process. Like if you get dropped, it was for a reason. I know that sounds bad, but it was for a reason. Maybe you didn't vibe with them as much as you thought. But it's fine. You're gonna find other people to vibe with. You know what I mean? I know I keep saying vibe, but that's just like the best way to describe it. Like if you really mesh well with a sorority, then you will get invited back. If you didn't, it was probably for a reason. It's probably not anything to do with you. It's just like other stuff that goes into it. Or they maybe saw you at a different house. Like your values align more with this house instead of that house. Even if you get dropped by your top house, there are other houses that would love for you to join and that you will probably fall in love with the more rounds you go. I think the next day I had a break, my first party, another break, and then my last 3 parties. So today I'm wearing this black romper that looks like a dress because it has like a little flap, but it is a romper anyway, but it looks like a dress. I got it from Kohl's. I think it's like that Candies little thing. I don't know. I got it from Kohl's like 2 years ago. These shoes are from this lady in Helena, which is like the town over from where I live. She was like selling a bunch of them, and me and my mom both got a pair. Really comfortable, but I know they're gonna be hurting in like 2 hours. I'm wearing my Apple Watch again just because it helped with time, but like you don't really use your phone at all. Like you don't even have time to like even use your phone. My necklace was actually a Christmas present, so I don't even know where that's from. Wearing the same jewelry as yesterday. Let's get it. All 4 parties were so good. Like that's the hard part. I don't know how people do it at like schools where there's like 17 sororities, because I was having trouble picking between 6. You know what I mean? So the first night it was kind of easy just because I really vibed with 4 of them. I didn't really vibe with 2 of them. Completely fine. That's just my experience. But the second day I vibed with all of them. Ugh. So basically the way that the second day works is you go to 4 parties, and then at the end of the day you put your top 2 houses and then you rank your bottom 2 houses. So say one of your top 2 houses drops you, your third one moves up. If your other one drops you, your fourth one moves up. So the next day you can go back to up to 2 houses. So I already had like my top runner. They were the party that I enjoyed the most the first day, and then the second day they just kept giving me more reasons to want to come back. So that was the easiest decision. I just put them down. It was really hard choosing the second house just because I vibed with the other 3 equally the same. So this is where your pai kais come into play. I had like a 30-minute conversation with my pai kai, and she just kind of like ran me through, and at one point they were all on a level playing field, and she was like, well, which philanthropy do you want to support the most? So I ended up picking my top 2 houses, which was my front runner and then the one that I discussed with my pai kai, and then ranked my bottom 2. The last day, which is pref day or pref round or pref night, whatever you want to call it, is the most serious thing. I underestimated it so much. I was just expecting to go in there and like have like a cute little song and like the little, you know, but it was so much more serious just because this is getting to like the nitty-gritty. Like, can I see myself here? Am I vibing with this chapter or just with this person? It is probably the most emotionally draining. Is that a thing? Is that a word? Emotionally draining? Yeah. We're gonna go with it. You are drained at the end of the night and you kind of want to cry. You kind of don't know what to feel. This is like the hard decision kind of night. This is where I say trust the process, because the night before I ranked my top runner, and they were the ones where I was like, if I get invited to nothing else, I want them to invite me back. Like I could care less if I have a second house on there. Like if I do great, you know, fantastic, because I could still make connections. But if they do not invite me back, I will cry. And I know I've been saying like don't fret about it, but I was just, this was like the one sorority that I was like, I can see myself in it, like I love it here. And like I let my sisters, like, I don't know why I said sisters like that, I hate saying that, but anyway, this is where I really let the girls that were talking to me know. I was like, thank you for having me back. This was like the only one that mattered to me. Like this is where I want to be. So basically what happened is, that morning when I was like getting ready and stuff like that, I was really in my head and I was like, dang it, like I wish I would have put my number 3 house at number 2. I just felt like I kind of vibed with them a little bit more. I was calling my friend Cassidy that was also going through recruitment with me, and I was like, I really wish I wouldn't have dropped them. Like I think I probably vibed with them a little bit more than I did my second house. And she was like, you know what, don't even worry about it. You're gonna get your schedule in an hour. Like you'll see what happened. And then I got my schedule back, and my number 2 house that I had put down dropped me, and my third one moved up. And so it ended up being the schedule that I wanted, which, trust the process. Like that's all I gotta say. I'm wearing this dark green dress from Express. I'm not wearing Birkenstocks. I'm just about to run in the rain and drive, so I don't feel like wearing the actual black shoes that I'm wearing. They're the most basic black shoes. I don't know where I got them. I think I got them on like Amazon, but I'm not wearing my jewelry right now, so I can't really mention it. But Cassidy has my gold hoops, so I'm just gonna wear some like regular gold hoops, and then she's letting me borrow her like little star necklace, so I'm gonna wear that. Okay, bye. So it ended up working out. I went into my first party, which was my top house, and I was like, I want to be here. This is where I want to be. This is it. Like I could care less about all the other parties. This is where I want to be. which I know sounds super exaggerated, but on prep night, you really have to tell them that, because they can't just assume by your body language that you just really want to be there. You have to let them know, I want to be here, I want to wear your letters, this is where I want to be, this is where I feel at home, so that they have reassurance. They are not just gonna guess that you just really like to be there because you shook their hand or something. But it was intense. Like, they say a bunch of nice things and they sing like a more serious song, and there were people crying like everywhere. I didn't cry, a lot of other girls cried, that's totally fine. You don't have to cry to be like, oh my god, like this is my home. I just felt that that was the one that I wanted to be in, even without crying. You know what I mean? But if you cry, that's fine. You know, let it out. A lot of people cried, it's fine. So then after that party, I went to my second party, which was my second house. So the last round, for most cases, you're talking to a girl that you've already talked to before. So I went into my second party and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna chill. Like, I already have my mindset on my first house. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm just gonna like be here along for the ride. Well, I got into such a deep conversation with the girl that I was talking to, and I was like, now I'm conflicted. It was so bad. Like, up until this point, my top house had been my top house throughout this whole experience. So I was like not even sweating it with the other ones. Like, I was like, yeah, they're cool, they're nice, they're awesome. I'm just vibing with my top house more. It wasn't until this conversation with this specific girl that it made everything more complicated. I was like, wait, now I can see myself here. And like, I even told her that. I was like, I'm conflicted now. So basically, everybody ran to vote because a lot of people already had like their mindset on like which one they wanted to do or like which one they wanted to pick, which I thought that was the case for me, and up until the party. So I just kind of stood back and I was just kind of like running through things in my mind. And I'm like, which one do I really see myself in? Like, if tomorrow I open my bid and it's this one, what is it gonna be like? And then my pie guy came up to me. She was like, hey, why aren't you voting yet? Just because the other days I was in the first round of girls that went in to vote because my mind was set. This time I was like back in the corner, like running through everything. I'm like, which one do I really want to be in? If tomorrow I open my bid and it's this one, how am I gonna feel? Like, am I gonna miss out on this? There was a lot running through my head. And so I told her what was on my mind, and this was probably the best piece of advice she gave me. Like, I quote it to this day. She was the same pie guy that I had talked to throughout the whole week, and she was like, do you want the hardcore truth or do you want me to sugarcoat it? And I was like, you know what, just give it to me straight. Like, I have about 30 minutes to vote. Like, I need to make a decision right now. She goes, this whole week you have really been vibing. I keep saying vibing, I'm so sorry. That's just in my vocab and I can't really think of anything else that I could say to like make up for that word. Whatever. She was like, this whole week you have been obsessed with your top house. Like, that's the house you've been raving about. Like, based off of what you've told me, that's the house you feel the most at home with. And so she goes, the second house you were ready to drop yesterday. She was like, what changed between yesterday and now? And I was like, well, I just had like the most amazing conversation with this girl. And so she goes, the hardcore truth, I think you really connected with the girl. You didn't really connect with the chapter. So true. Because she was like, you were ready to drop them last night. What changed? A conversation with one girl. You've had a conversation with them this whole week, and you had never had them at your top 2 until this girl talked to you again. And I was like, you're so right. You're so right. So then I went to vote and I put my top house first, and then I put them second. And the next like 15 hours between when I voted and when I got my bid, I was rethinking everything. And it's completely normal to do that. This is like a big decision. So of course you're gonna be like, did I make the right decision? Is this the one that I wanted? Like, was I influenced by the like aesthetic? Like blah, 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 blah. You know, the next day is bid day. Usually at UAB, you open up your bids or like your little envelope at the Student Hill Center, and then you run on the green, which is like just this green patch of grass. It was thundering and raining so hard. Like, I will insert a picture right here of what I looked like going into the Student Hill Center. So we actually could not run on the green. So all of the sororities had to pick like a specific place in the Student Hill Center to like set up. And we had to run downstairs, or like run. I did not run because I was like, I will slip and this will turn into a completely different situation. So I did not run. I was very much in the back. but it was still fun. So yeah, they gathered us in the auditorium and the Pi Chis reveal what sorority they were in. So my 2 Pi Chis were actually an Alpha Gamma and Alpha Z. Then they hand out our envelopes that have our bids in them and we count down from 10 and everybody opens it and you find out what sorority you got into, and there's so much screaming, it's kind of insane.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So then they called us by sororities and we walked down the stairs. Some people did slip, it was interesting. After we ran down and like we saw our signs with our little names on it and we got our bid day bag and we got our jersey, we went to a little like amusement park golf cart thing for like our bid day activity, and then after that we went to go like have a movie night. And it was just fun and wholesome and great. If you haven't guessed by now, I am an Alpha Z Delta at UAB. They were my top house literally the whole week. Like without a hitch, I was like, I love it here. I'm an Alpha Z. Let's freaking go. So now let's get into like the little juicy deets and like tips and like what COVID is gonna be doing, you know? So for this video, I asked a bunch of my friends that are like in the same sorority as me or like in other sororities, like what kind of questions or like what they were confused about when going through the recruitment process, specifically at UAB. This might be helpful for other schools, but this is like specifically talking about UAB. So rec letters. I'm gonna be completely honest right now, you don't need them. And I'm specifically talking for UAB because I know at other schools like rec letters are a huge part of the decision making. But at UAB, you don't really need them. Sure, they can kind of help, maybe. I had a rec letter for every sorority except for one because I couldn't find it. I had friends that didn't have a single rec letter and they were fine. Like sure, it might have helped like a little bit, but it wasn't like crucial to the decision making process. Why I decided to go Alpha Z? Many reasons actually. Like I said, UAB has awesome chapters. Like honestly, it was so hard to choose because all of the chapters are just so nice and like they really want you to be there and it's just freaking hard. But this is like a tip, look around, like obviously not when you're talking to like a sister, like if she's asking you a question, don't be like, but I looked around while they were like singing or like showing a PowerPoint or something like that, and it just seemed like the girls genuinely wanted to be there and like genuinely were friends with each other. Again, I'm not saying that all of the other sororities didn't have the same features, it just kind of hit different with Alpha Z. I felt at home, which is so cheesy to say and I hate that I just said that, but it did. It was just very comforting. Like the girls were genuinely excited to see me there. I was excited to go in there. Like they were the party that I looked forward to the most every single day. So now I'm going to be sharing some tips that I wish I knew or I wish I would have followed during my recruitment process. The first one is utilize your Pi Chis or use your Pi Chis. I don't even know if I said that correctly, but use your Pi Chis. Like I was texting my Pi Chis for everything. I texted them to see if my outfits were okay. I would talk to them before I voted every single day and they would just kind of run me through and they're like, how are you feeling? And if I was ever conflicted, like I was on prep night, if I wouldn't have had that conversation with my Pi Chi, I don't even know where I would have ended up. I would have probably just sat there until the last possible minute, like contradicting myself. You can trust them with anything. They will not go and like tell their sororities. They are not allowed to do that at all. You can completely trust them. And even after everything ends, they can't go and be like, well, during recruitment, Michelle said that y'all kind of sucked. I never said that about anybody, but that's just like an exaggerated example. So yeah, use your Pi Chis. They are there for a reason. They will help you through anything that's going on in your head. They will walk you through any conflict that you might have. Next one, do not trust social media or GreekRank. I cannot stress this enough. I was kind of guilty of this. I was very guilty, not even kind of. Basically, the whole summer leading up to recruitment, I was stalking these like Instagrams and like these members so hard. I walked in there so prepared for a sorority. Like I was so ready to meet them. I wanted them so bad. I would talk to my friend Cassidy and I would be like, this is the one that I want to end up with. I hadn't even talked to anybody in like the sorority. I hadn't even seen their vibe. And I was already like, I want to be in this one. This one's so cute. Their aesthetic is so pleasing. Like all of this stuff. I didn't even end up going there. Like at all. Like they weren't even in like my prep round. So yeah, go into it with a completely open mind because what sororities are putting out for social media is the best possible image of themselves. And if you only go based off of that, you're not gonna end up in the sorority for the right reasons. Also, do not trust GreekRank. Like, that is just the most what kind of situation ever. So many like members go in there and rank their own sororities, or they'll rank sororities that they don't like just so like it'll be different. I can assure you none of those ranks are true, and even if they were, don't go based off of that. Don't even go through it. Like, if you want to go like see what was up like after, that's fine. Don't base your decision making off of GreekRank because it's so messed up. Don't do it. Don't start and don't listen to rumors. It sucks when you're like in the auditorium waiting for your next party because you're on a break, or you're waiting for the doors to open and everybody's talking and you just hear somebody be like, well, that sorority is like weird. There's a girl that might really like that sorority, but you just got in her head if you say that. Don't say that. Keep your opinions to yourself. If you think that, kudos to you, I guess. Like, that's your issue. Don't put that on other people because you never know how they're thinking and how their recruitment process is going. Like I said, everybody's different. Trust the process and don't listen to people that say stuff like that. And also don't say stuff like that. Like, that's so negative for literally no reason. You did this for what? Nothing. Exactly. Have questions ready to ask the sister. That's the way a conversation works. If they're just sitting there being like, what did you do in high school? What are you excited for at UAB? Like, all of this stuff. That's not how a conversation works. That's how an interview works. So have questions ready to ask the sisters so that conversation flows better. You get to know a lot more. It's not just about them finding out who you are. It's about you finding out what their chapter stands for and like what kind of vibe they go for. If you can't think of any, there are so many websites. Like, I would spend my breaks like looking at websites and like thinking of questions that I could ask them. A big question that I asked all of the sororities, and probably like my favorite question that I asked them, was what does a week typically look like for a sister? That gives you a rundown of, if I were to join the sorority, what would that be like? I asked them why they joined. That's such a big one. Why they joined. If you are kind of like, I don't know if I would fit in here, like getting someone else's input and then being like, well, I just found my home because blah blah blah, that gives you such a big insight on what the sorority stands for and why people join. That's also going to save you from a lot of awkward silences. I hate awkward silences. I'm a very big people person, so I like shrivel up when there's like awkward silence. So anytime the conversation was maybe dying down, or like they asked like a closed-ended question that like would end on a yes or no, I would ask them a question, and then that would get the conversation flowing again. So yeah, ask questions and have questions prepared, because when you're on the spot, once you enter the room, everything goes out the freaking window. I had so many friends that were rushing with me. Don't talk to them about it. Me and my friend Cassidy would talk about it at night after our voting was done, because if you talk to your friends in between parties and like see how they're feeling and which one they're vibing with, you're gonna subconsciously start making decisions based off of what your friends are doing, because you want comfort. You want to join the same sorority that your friend is. Even if you say you're not, subconsciously you're thinking about that. Most sororities have a GPA requirement. I completely forgot what Alpha Z's was, but they are usually on their website, or you can like research about that with like your college and stuff like that. Really look into that. And if your GPA isn't per se the highest, then the first night is crucial for you. Like, really make it known that you really want to be there, and that you might not have like the best GPA, but you did a lot of other things in high school. This is your moment to shine and make up for maybe having a lower GPA. Sororities are really big about involvement, but don't lie about it. Don't go into a sorority and be like, well, yeah, I want to join so many clubs and be super involved, if that's not your vibe. But I will say, sororities are looking for people that are going to get involved in the chapter or involved on campus and like really put their name out there, especially if you want to get involved in their like exec board or like exec council for that chapter. So COVID's kind of messing everything up. So basically everything I just said, throw it out the window, except for the super fundamental things, like have questions prepared. But obviously y'all aren't going to be going to the Student Hill Center, and like the little chants are probably not going to happen. Let me get into that. So UAB is going completely virtual. I know some schools are doing like half virtual, half in person, but UAB specifically is going straight up virtual. So the first 2 days, you're watching sorority philanthropy videos, and then you're filming a video with your Pi Chi where they're going to ask you questions that they're going to send to the sororities. And then the last 4 days, you are talking to sororities via Zoom, or like, I mean, I'm guessing Zoom, but like it could be another platform. You're basically talking to them virtually. A couple pointers: make sure you have good lighting. Now, I'm not saying like go on Amazon and order a ring light. Just make sure you're not like in a pitch black room, or like half of your face is in it, half of it's not. Like, this is a little bit of a bigger deal than you just like FaceTiming a friend you haven't seen in a while. You know what I mean? Don't have background noises. Like, if you live near a train and like it starts going through, you don't have control over that. But make sure like your siblings aren't fighting in the background, or your dog's barking or something like that. It's gonna be really weird if you're talking to sister and you're really getting into like the depth of the conversation, and like in the background, like your mom is calling your dog, kind of thing, you know? So make sure everybody in your house or your dorm or wherever you're gonna be at kind of knows what's going on. I would always, for like my Zoom meetings or like virtual classes, I would always tell my parents or like my siblings like 5 minutes prior, hey, I'm gonna be on a Zoom call, don't be super loud, and you should be good. Make sure your background is clean, fun, fresh, cool. I'm not saying like go and buy a backdrop, but make sure like anything behind you looks organized. Like, obviously if there's like a pile of clothes over here, you're gonna be like, what the heck? So yeah, follow those little tidbits and you should be good. I know prior to this I said don't go on social media and like super obsess over stuff, but recruitment is virtual, so unfortunately social media is playing a huge key. Prior to this year, sororities were not allowed to reach out, DM, no member was supposed to like pictures, follow PNMs, or anything like that. But since recruitment is virtual, members are following, members are liking, DMing, something along those lines. Don't be afraid to reach out to sororities that you might be super interested in, or reach out to members that you might really vibe with and like start a conversation, start little friendships. Like, that'll make it so much easier when recruitment comes along and you already have like a familiar face to look at. That shows initiative, and that shows that you're super interested. They're gonna be more excited to meet you when the time comes than somebody that maybe didn't reach out or just didn't seem that interested or didn't even follow them back. Don't be rude. Don't not follow them back. That's kind of weird. Make sure your social media is a good representation of who you are. I'm not saying like go and like volunteer at a puppy shelter just so like you look like a good person. I'm just saying don't be in the background of a picture chugging a White Claw kind of thing, you know? Don't get caught up on their aesthetic. Like, don't look at follower counts. Don't be like, well, this sorority has 3,000 and this sorority has 2,000 followers. That's not important. What I would suggest is go look at their tagged pictures. Go look at their members' profiles. How are they interacting with each other? What do the comments look like? Look at stuff like that instead of just looking at, well, their feed is kind of cute and like their theme is just, their filters. What presets do they use? That's so superficial that it's not going to give you an accurate representation of who they are. Don't do it. Alright, well, that basically sums it all up. I hope I clarified some stuff y'all might have been confused about. I know I was super confused going into it. I hope I answered any questions y'all might have, or like my advice helps a little bit. Probably won't, but I hope so. Super exciting news. I am moving into my apartment super soon, so hopefully more content to come. I need to stop saying that because every time I say it, it never comes true. But you know, fingers crossed, I'm manifesting it, you know? So yeah, that is all from me today. Don't forget to follow my social media down in the description box, and I will see y'all next time.